So as the left floods America with the illegal aliens, what they've been doing is placing them in strategic cities so that they could gerrymander, so that they can obtain more congressional seats. It's been their political strategy. So they tell you we just want to be kind to aliens, but no, it's a political power move that they've been doing. And they can't be, put it this way, they would rather do it slowly in a way that you don't know what's happening. Like the frog in the pot. They say if you put a frog in a pot of boiling water, it'll jump right out. But if you put a frog in a pot of cool water and you heat it up slowly, it'll just sit there until it boils to death. And so, of course, the enemy's strategy would rather be that you don't know what's happening. But Trump, as a disruptor, has forced the nefarious folks behind the scenes to play their cards a little too quick and to be too obvious about it. And that's really what's waking people up all over America and the world. Because they're now playing cards that they would have played a little slower had they not felt the pressure from Trump. It's like when you're watching a game. I love when I'm watching a playoff game or a Super Bowl or a basketball game or some sort of sport event where one team seems to be playing badly. And after the game, they said, God, we just played a horrible game. We made too many mistakes and turnovers. But actually what it was is the pressure from the other team was so immense that it was causing them to make mistakes. They didn't just have a bad game. They were pressured, the other team. But Trump is putting pressure, God through Trump, God through those of us who are praying and fasting and repenting and trying to live holy. God is putting pressure on the powers of the enemy that have been burrowed into America, that have been permeating ideologies that have led to huge divorce rates and crazy issues with sexual identity and corruption within government and human trafficking galore. God, with all the believers and Trump and others, who is putting pressure on the enemy, and the enemy is making errors. The enemy is having people are playing their hands too fast. And right now, Gavin Newsom is doing that. He's threatening to gerrymander California at a level that we've probably never seen before. And it's going to wake a bunch of people up to what's really going on. Now, my goal wasn't to get on here today on Per Monday and talk all about politics. But if you look back in history to the preachers of the early days, they were able to associate the word of God with what was happening in their nation. You can't divorce the two. There's no such thing as separation of church and state or separation of God from reality. And so right now, one of the big things that God's doing in the earth is this upheaval in America. God is purging. God is purifying. The fact that we live in this season and get to watch what's happening, wait until you see what's going to take place in the news. We are going to be shocked at the Nuremberg type trials that end up playing out over the next 10 years. There is a cleansing that's happening in America. Why? Because we are in the midst of the greatest revival America has ever seen. It began in 2006 with the fall of a leader of a 30 million person political action committee. They were Christians who tried to influence politics. When that man fell, it was a changing of the guard. I had a visit from the angel in 2006. He said that man's fall was a changing of the guard. Several days later, I was in the Capitol at Sacramento, and for the first time in my life, and the only time in my life, I saw a changing of the guard at the state capitol. God wanted to confirm there's a changing of the guard, and this new leadership has been mantled, and we are emerging in our maturity. We are emerging in our confidence in the Lord and who we are in Him, to not have to put our names on a building or a ministry, but to declare the word of the Lord, to live holy and righteous, and to confront powers and principalities, whether anybody knows our name or not. God has been mantling David's and Deborah's, Moses's and Daniel's, people who've been being trained in obscurity, been being trained through trial and tribulation. And many of you who are hearing this are those who were mantled. Many of you understand that Christendom has been the main principality over America. It's created what we call Christianity in America, which is a controlled opposition. It's a psychological operation designed to make those of us who are on fire feel like we're nuts. The devil's idea was to spread lukewarm Christianity through these things they call churches, so that if God were to raise up prophets, evangelists, apostles, the very people who they claim to be affiliated with, other Christians, would be the ones to say, no, those people are messed up. There's a book that was written about a civil war that's coming in what they call the church. And I don't know if that's true. What I do know is that a prophet friend of mine texted me yesterday or the day before, and he said to me, the tares and the wheat are going to be separated. The tares and the wheat are going to be separated. And so if you'll join me and everybody else, the remnant that's out there, that's praying, that's fasting, that's living holy to the best of your maturity, repenting when you fall, like a righteous man who sins 7 times a day but gets back up again. Will you join with us?